The 30th of November is a special day for Scotland, the day of the patron saint. A day on which all of Scotland and everyone proud of their Scottish ancestry celebrate everything Scottish. The day of St. Andrews. Who was St. Andrew? What did he have to do with Scotland? And why is he celebrated on this very day? Let's take a dive into the story behind St. Andrew's Day. St. Andrew's Day is also known as Anndrais, or the Feast of St. Andrew, and is celebrated on November 30th. It's Scotland's official national day, and since 2006, it's also a public holiday in Scotland. But it's not just celebrated in Scotland. It's also a national holiday in Romania since 2015. And St. Andrew seems to be pretty busy, since he's not just a patron saint of Scotland and Romania, but also of Russia, Ukraine, Cyprus, and more. But why is he so popular? Let's take a look into the life of St. Andrew, though we actually don't know so much about it. What we know is one thing that might be odd to you, but the patron saint of Scotland has actually never been to Scotland. St. Andrew is said to have been a fisherman who lived in Galilee in today's Israel. He was probably born around the year 5 AD, and later became one of the 12 disciples of Jesus. St. Andrew is said to have been one of the few people who were actually present at the Last Supper, and it was him who introduced his brother Simon Peter to the Messiah. Simon Peter, who was later known as Saint Peter, the first pope of the Roman Catholic Church. In the end, he was crucified for his beliefs in 60 AD, on the 30th of November to be exact. And that is why we celebrate him on this very day. Interestingly enough, he is said to have refused a T-shaped cross for his crucifixion, since he thought himself unworthy of dying the same way as the Messiah. Instead, he was nailed to an X-shaped cross, the so-called saltire. This, by the way, gave the St. Andrew crosses you can find as traffic signs its name. Today, he is known for his generosity, and he remains the patron saint of fishermen, fishmongers, singers, and pregnant women. But why is he the patron saint of Scotland? Like mentioned before, St. Andrew never actually set foot onto Scottish soil. So why did he become the patron saint of Scotland? There is no easy answer to that question. A long time after St. Andrew's death, some parts of his remains arrived as holy relics in Scotland. For example, a finger bone, a kneecap, and even an arm. According to legend, Saint Rule was instructed by an angel to take the relics and go on a journey to the west. He had no definite place he aimed to go to, but was to sail to the west and to establish a church wherever the tide would lead him. So, when Saint Rule's ship landed on the shore near the village Kilrimont, he built a church, and the relics found a new home in the small town that was later renamed to, well, how could it be different, St. Andrews. Since then, the small town became a pilgrimage place for Christians. It doesn't really matter if you believe the legend or not, but fact is that St. Andrew's Cathedral was built in 1318 to house the relics. Unfortunately, both the cathedral and the artifacts were destroyed during the Scottish Reformation. But that doesn't mean St. Andrew's remains were forever lost for Scotland. The Archbishop Amalfi heard what happened and gifted a piece of the shoulder blade of St. Andrew to Scotland, so that a piece of St. Andrew would forever protect the Scottish people. According to another legend, it happened one day during the 9th century that King Angus of Scotland, or of the Picts, prepared for a very important battle against the English, or the Angles. Worried about the battle, he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. In his dream, the saint came to him and told him that he would be victorious. But the king, aware of dreaming, wondered and asked the saint whether this was just his imagination. And the saint answered that, as a sign that this wasn't just a dream, the king would find an X-shaped cross looking down on him from the sky on the day of battle. When the king saw the sign, he vowed that if he would be victorious, he would make Saint Andrew the patron saint of Scotland. And, well, he was. There are probably way more legends out there, but all we know for sure is that it was in 1320 when Scotland declared its independence with the Declaration of Arbroath that the saint was officially named as patron saint. To honor him, Scotland chose the X-shaped St. Andrew's cross as the official flag of Scotland. A white cross on a blue background, also called the saltire. Being the national holiday of Scotland, the 30th of November is also the National Flag Day, so that every official building must hold the Scottish flag. The celebrations in honor of the saint on the 30th of November started in the 18th century. And interestingly enough, not even in Scotland, but in America, in 1729, when a group of wealthy Scottish immigrants in Charleston, South Carolina, wanted to reconnect with their Scottish roots. To do so, they chose to promote St. Andrew's philanthropic ideals and founded the St. Andrew's Society of Charleston. And thus, they began the tradition of celebrating St. Andrew's Day. Since 2006, the St. Andrew's Day is finally an official bank holiday in Scotland, even though schools are still open and banks are not required to close. But at least in the University of St. Andrews, it's tradition to get a free day on St. Andrew's Day, even though this is not a binding rule. So, how is St. Andrew's Day celebrated? Well, just like St. Patrick's Day in Ireland and St. David's Day in Wales, St. Andrew's Day is one big festival of everything connected to the country he's patron saint of. So the whole of Scotland and everyone connected to Scotland usually celebrates Scottish culture, with songs, dances and good Scottish food. In the town of St. Andrews and some other cities, this celebration even lasts for a whole week. Like in Edinburgh, where you find traditional ceilidh dancing, or in Glasgow, where you traditionally can witness a bit shindig, which is basically a big party. The schools around Scotland will usually hold special events, and the students will present special activities, like bagpipe playing, singing of traditional Scottish songs, country dancing, reciting and writing of poems, or even cooking traditional Scottish dishes. By the way, maybe the first dish that comes to mind in connection with Scotland is the famous or infamous haggis, which is basically a type of pudding, composed of the liver, heart and lungs of a sheep, minced and mixed with beef and oatmeal, and seasoned with onion, cayenne pepper and other spices, all together packed into a sheep's stomach and boiled. Yeah, I do get why the first reaction of most people to this description is a big yeah. But to be fair, when I went to Scotland and had the chance to try it, I was way too curious not to. And I gotta say, I find it really tasty. So, if you ever have the chance to try haggis, switch out your brain for a second and just try it. It's really good. Other traditional dishes include the callanskink, which is a fish soup made from smoked haddock, onions and potatoes. And as a dessert, you could choose a clotty dumpling with custard. In short, the whole of Scotland celebrates Scottish culture with music and dance. And no matter where you go in Scotland on that day, you are bound to find that the Scottish know how to celebrate. But like mentioned before, St. Andrew is the patron saint of many countries. And therefore, it's no wonder that there are a lot of St. Andrew's Day traditions, even outside of Scotland. For example, Barbados celebrates this day as Independence Day. In Germany, apparently, single women can ask St. Andrew on this day for help to find a suitable husband. If they sleep naked on the night before the 30th, they will dream of their future husband. And if they hear dogs barking on St. Andrew's Day, they will know from which direction he will come. Even though I honestly don't know anybody who is still aware of the tradition. A similar tradition seems to exist in Romania, Ukraine, Poland, Slovakia and other countries, where young women put grains of wheat or basil under their pillow. If they dream of someone stealing the wheat, it is said that they will marry in the year to come. So St. Andrew seems not just to be a patron saint of fishermen and pregnant women, but also of those who are searching for a partner. But in any way, he definitely is an important figure for Scotland, and a good reason on this day to celebrate everything Scottish. If you like the video, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when new videos come out. La fèill Anndrais sona dhuibh. Happy St. Andrew's Day.